Would you like to add in something, ma'am?
Yeah, I feel that there is a bit of a confusion when you talk of the employer-employee relationship. What you said is extremely correct that, as an employer, you want 100% dedication. And I don't see lady employees being less dedicated when they also want to partake in activities that they have to necessarily do. Choosing to have a family or to have a child is something that's a matter of pride, as well as something that a woman has to do, given the setup that we are in. Having chosen to do that, if the employer decides to say that now you're not so functional, now you're not going to be so dedicated, now your output is going to lag behind, that's the attitude we need to change. Because that's why in advanced nations we have something called as flexi working hours. Sadly, that's not coming. We don't have any flexi working hours. I mean, आप काम करना चाहते हैं बट आपको सिस्टम काम करने देता नहीं है बिकॉज आपकी बाकी प्रायोरिटीज़ भी हो जाती हैं. ऐसा कतई इसका मतलब नहीं है कि लेडीज़ कम काम करती हैं. अब एक औरत को सुबह पहले आना भी है, 8 बजे रिपोर्ट करना है, रात को उसका हस्बैंड आके बोलेगा चल खाना बना. आई मीन वो ह्यूमन बीइंग है. एट द एंड उसको भी थकान होती है. तो एम्प्लॉयर को समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो लेडीज़ हैं उनको आप सिर्फ फ्लेक्सिबल वर्किंग आवर्स दे रहे हैं, आप उन पे कोई फेवर नहीं कर रहे हैं. यू आर नॉट डूइंग एनी फेवर ऑन देम बाय गिविंग देम फ्लेक्सी वर्किंग आवर्स. I mean, I feel there's a little skewed emphasis being made on parity issue. Male and female parity का एक skewed सा issue है. मुझे लगता है कि females are actually better workers than men. I personally think I've personally experienced, क्योंकि हम सब काम इतना सारा करती हैं. मतलब मेल्स को सुबह उठ के जाना है, काम करना और वापस आ जाना है. कोई पूछने वाला नहीं, कोई सवाल नहीं करने वाला, कोई माँ बाप नहीं पूछेंगे बेटा क्या बनाया क्या नहीं किया. तो एट द एंड अगर कंड्यूसिव एनवायरनमेंट दिया जा रहा है बाय वे ऑफ अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ लाइक ही सेड प्रिविलेजेस, उससे हम उनकी आउटपुट मैक्सिमाइज कर रहे हैं. आउटपुट में कोई कमी नहीं होगी. मैं बिल्कुल ये नहीं कह रही हूँ कि आउटपुट को मिनिमाइज करना है. आउटपुट उतनी होनी चाहिए बट गिव देम फ्लेक्सी वर्किंग आवर्स. दैट्स व्हाट आई थिंक.
I'll completely second what Priyanka said, and I'll say it with an example. I have all female employees that work for me. It's forget about me. I think even if you open the newspaper, the maximum requirement is of female employees these days. So why are people going for female employees? Like, as the points you mentioned, I mean, everybody is going for female employees knowing that they are going to be more dedicated, more sincere. Probably they would give more outputs and more results than males these days, apart from specific things, I mean, which we would want a guy to do. Coming to my point of how I have all female employees is, and trust me, talking about flexi, as that's what I've done. They can, I have employees like I have told them they have to come from Monday to Saturdays, they have to come at this time. She'll always be there at that time. Even if I have asked her that today it's a leave, I don't have any work, you can leave, then she'll no, I have to go at 6, I'll not go before 6. So that's the kind of dedication you get. But I think it also depends on the treatment that you have with your employee. I think that's very important. When you talk like an employer, as you were mentioning, so I'm mentioning this point, that as an employer, your relationship with the employee is also extremely important as to how dedicatedly they work for you. Now, I have people who would also come to me, and she would also come for me and work for me on Sundays, even if she's not, I would not tell her, that's not her part of her duty, but she's so dedicated that, ma'am, I know this work is there, I have to be there, so even if you don't come, I'll finish my job, I'll leave. So that's the dedication I see from the female employees, and I'm so much into my mind that if I want to have anyone, I'll of course work with them. But I feel this also happens because the employer is also a female. So what happens is, I understand, and she's a mother of 2. I know my personal life, she's a mother of 2. She has a house to handle herself. Her kids are like small who go to school. So everything she's the one who's managing, and so what I'm trying to tell over here is that sometimes we need to understand women from a women perspective. You will be able to get better results from her, not less, for sure. So if I'm telling you, if one day if you give her, let's say if she goes 1 hour earlier, trust me, next day she's going to work 3 hours more. But if that's done with a smile, if that's done with that energy, that's what because that's the way you're winning not just a female employee. I think that's the way you're winning any employee. So when when employee works with you just for a salary is a very different point, and an employee works for you for your work and with that passion, I think that becomes a very, very different story.
I have also all women employees except my 2 runner boys, which collect the premiums and payments and banking work. They are on the bikes. But my women employees are given Saturdays off who have children. I give them off for their school kids' exams. Now April, she just applied 1st to 15th of April, she will not be there. But when she's there 100%. They are with me for more than 10 years. They have had their babies with me. They have got married. They are there with me. We are there for the rest of our lives. That's what I feel.
I know, understand we represent the women gender and then we talk about them, but I also say, I mean, it's all about a personal thing as to how a person wants to work. I have got women employees as well who have been extremely naughty and I had to get rid of them. So I think, as I say, we can't generalize it that they are like this, and again, that will be the same old thing that we are going to continue. So I think we are here to break that stereotypes of generalizing and taking individual choices how people work and how their dedication towards work is. But what I was trying to say earlier, my point with women was not that they are better than men or they are not. What I'm trying to say is that the equation between the employer and the employee, that was which was very important for me to mention, that how you win the employee's heart and how you work for them, where they stop working for you, they work for you less for salary and more for you as a person. And I trust my employee. I mean, if there are 1,000 people going to approach any other, and with the more salaries, I know she's going to be with me and she wants to work with me. So that trust that we have, I think that is extremely important. And that flexi hours, and when it comes to women, what happens is if I give her those flexi hours, I'm able to produce more results. I get more work done. There are times that she has to, the office hours would be like from 10:30 to 6, but I have had her attending calls even at 8 in the evening. So I mean, I have got those results from her because I've given her that time flexibility. So that was the experience I was sharing.
I think there may be a little misunderstanding what I said. I didn't say that the women work less than men. What I mean is that when the woman is coming more into the profession, the attitude among the women also need to have a change. That's what I'm trying to tell. As an employer, what I'm looking at them, need to have some kind of a dedication towards the profession as well as the family. I do agree. I think being a woman, you have an additional responsibility of family. I'm not saying that. But generally as an employer, again, I'm not talking about an employment where you have chance of flexible timing. For example, in a college, you don't have a flexible timing. In a school, you don't have a flexible timing. Or maybe in a manufacturing unit, you don't have a flexible timings. So that is where what I'm trying to tell is the women need to take the charge and say that we don't want any privilege, we want equality, but provide a conducive environment where I can work and as a normal. Because otherwise what happens if I tell my teacher, okay, you have a young kid, you come at 9 o'clock in the hour, not come at 8 o'clock. It's kind of that I'm giving some kind of a privilege for them and they feel that it is actually lowering them. Yes. So that is what I'm trying to tell, that the employer perspective is that we want the women to work, don't bring your family problems to me, but at the same time employer need to have that kind of attitude towards the employees to protect. But if it is there in the procedures itself, that okay, this is what is your requirement, then I think that would be a better relation would create. That's
I completely agree to that. I think when female come out, they need to be professional. They can't just come out like घर पे सब चलता है types. They can't come in the house and say, हाँ यहाँ पर भी चलेगा. So when they come to work, you have to be professional.
Prasad sir, like you said, you just agreed that women who come to work, we have an additional responsibility at home also. So in spite of dealing with these kind of additional responsibilities, we still have to face with this discrimination that we have at workplace. You agree to that? Bottom line, hard fact is that ये औरत है, इससे नहीं होएगा, आप किसी और को दे दो. This happens. So how do we go about that?
जबकि मेरे एक्सपीरियंस में मेल शर्कर्स भी उतने ही हैं. If you're talking about shirking work, it's a personal attribute. Shirking work is not gender specific, so to say. But I feel it's a concerted effort to make it gender specific. We try to make shirking work equivalent to woman employee. Sadly, it's not true. We have male work shirkers as well. So अगर आप वर्क शर्क करने का एटीट्यूड रखते हैं, ये आपका अपना एट्रीब्यूट है, ये पर्सनल है. You are just made like that. So it's not gender specific. Being a work shirking personality is something that is your own inborn thing. So sadly ये discrimination का एक तरीका बन गया है workplace पे. Like you rightly pointed out, we need to fight that.
Exactly. Ma'am, do you think this might be Khairu ma'am? Do you think this might be the reason women prefer women colleagues to work? We gel very well with women colleagues, I would say. Personal life अलग experience हो सकता है, but some people might agree to this कि काम करने में औरतों के साथ काम करना is more convenient than working with men, like you said.
By nature, she's very giving, she's very understanding, she's more adjustable because she's brought up in such a way. I feel the women upbringing in our countries is brought up in a very adjustable way that, you have to adjust, you have to adjust. At least now things are changing, but I'm talking when I started my career 20 years ago. So we are basically wired that way. We are not wired in boxes like if you read the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. What she says is we women are wired, into different compartments. That's why we do multitasking. So we are wired that way. Whereas a male can do one task at one time, he will do that task nicely. We can take a child's homework, talk on the mobile, cook and do so many other things at the same time. So that is why I think what you said is correct about women.
Yeah, that's the competition, and I think the saddest part, even in the skit that we had seen earlier, we could see that the saddest part is where the women becomes the enemy of the women. Where we don't want other women, the women don't want other women to come up because that's where they feel scared. Whereas, if you see men coming up, they feel everybody is coming up. But when the women comes up, they don't think the entire women gender is coming up. That they let too many women come up, they don't like it.
They feel insecure.
Yes, they start feeling insecure. Okay, oh, how can she be, over there and I cannot be? So I think, then again, and especially if you talk about corporate sectors, so I think female gelling with female, I've not been there, but I'm just sharing an opinion, a suggestion. I'm assuming it can be that way where they would not want to be colleagues with others, or even if they are colleagues, they are not sharing their secrets and they're not sharing their stuff because they don't want to really come up that. But it can be other way also. So what I'm trying to say is that the question of women gelling with women because of their comfort levels, I don't think. It can be a personal thing.
Depends on every person.
Himali, I would like to say one thing. Prasad sir said something very interesting in the beginning, that he cooks at home and he takes pride in that. So there are men who take pride in doing the housework also. So that is another side of the coin. So that also has to be appreciated. Obviously, I'm not saying that, only औरतों की जय जयकार करो and just shun the men. No. But those men who take pride in doing housework also have to be appreciated. Now, Suhani ma'am spoke about dedication, how women are dedicated to their jobs. Now, there's a particular incident, like now the attendance system in the government offices has been adjusted. I don't know what it's called. You have to give your fingerprint and the time is recorded. Biometric. So, my mom also works for the government and her timing is from 9:30 to 5:45. So, even if it is 5:44, she will not come out. She will say, no, it's 5:45 only, then I will put my finger there, let it get recorded, then I'll come out. She doesn't mind coming out at 7:30, but 5:44 she will not come out. Whereas this is the attitude of maximum women in their office, I have seen.
That brings me to the next topic. It is a very heated topic right now. I just spoke about working with similar gender people. That brings me to the next one, that is sexual harassment at workplace. Do you think working with the same gender would reduce these kind of cases?